You want to come over here with me? Oh. Come over here. We're going to talk to the camera, all right? Now come over here. Come over here. All right. You know, the last time we tried this, it was just pandemonium. Yeah. That's right. Hi, guys. I am back with another edition of Getting My Son Into Horror. Now, what are you doing? You're just mixing this stuff up now. Y'all all stacked up?
No.
Yeah?
No.
Now, just so you guys know ahead of time, what are you doing? Get away from that. Get away from that. Don't put your mouth on it. Get over. Hey, walk over. Adrian. Adrian. This kid. So, I'm going to go ahead and get... Hey, stop jumping around the camera. Get over here. I will beat you. You want to beat?
Beat.
All right. So...
No.
You good? Okay. This is going to be the most disjointed video ever. Yeah, I don't know why I thought that would work, but I'm going to give it a shot every year. Alright, so let me get to a proper introduction on this video now. This is part of my ongoing series, Getting My Son Into Horror. If you want a more elaborate explanation, my reason behind this series, check out my previous two videos I've done. I've done this video every year now. For every year he's, my son's been here. And each year I try to get a stack of DVDs or Blu-rays, whatever, movies. I get a stack of movies for him. And I curate this as a gateway into horror. I want my son to share my passion for horror films, but I'm not going to just throw him into the deep end. You don't do that. I made that mistake with Little Cousins and scarred him for life. So, but here, these are more, and you're going to look at these and be like, well, that's not horror, but they're not. They're not meant to be just strictly horror. Gateway films. I want him to like watching ghosts and skeletons and witches or whatever, and not be afraid of them. And then so that way, when he does get to a certain age, when he can handle it, I can be like, okay, well, let's watch some other stuff. I will say, and for people who are wondering, he does have other movies. We're not just unloading horror films on him, obviously. He has his own collection of movies. It is interesting now because the previous two videos, because he's going to be 3 next month. And so from the very get-go, I was, getting all these movies for him and everything. But he doesn't really watch them. And I noticed that now. Like, he does have his own taste. Like, as you can see, he loves Paw Patrol. Table and everything. Because I assumed, like, you just put any cartoon on for the kid, he would just watch it and love it. That's not the case. There's some cartoons he just gets bored with. And so, yeah, it is kind of neat to see that, he is developing his own personality, his own little taste and everything. And so we've actually watched several of these films, or tried to watch them with him. It's funny to see what he gravitates to and what he doesn't. We haven't hit them all yet. Again, this is for year 3 or whatever. So, but either way, yeah, I'm just getting these out there, and I just want to see if other parents who also are trying to get their kids into horror, what they think, or maybe you're wanting to do the same thing and trying to figure out where to go. Well, I'm laying it out right here. So, these films right here are movies that I think youngsters, of any age could watch, and it will kind of get them into the dark side a little bit. So let's just go through the list. Here is what I've gotten for my son. We're going to start things off with Arachnophobia. This is good family horror, I guess. It's PG-13 horror. It's family light. It's Steven Spielberg produced it. I don't think he directed it. No, he did direct it. I know he did. Frank Marshall. I was going to say Frank Miller for some reason. I'm thinking Sin City. Anyways, but no. I mean, I've watched this when I was younger. I mean, it's one of those movies where it's like, it definitely has some frightening moments, but nothing too bad for a kid. And yeah, it's good stuff. We actually watched this the other day. He had no interest in it. I will say he rarely likes live action. It is mostly cartoons. Some live action stuff he'll kind of sort of look at. He likes Mystery Science Theater. I watch a lot of that, and he likes the robots on there. But when he goes to the movie, he's zones out. He's playing with his toys or whatever. He only likes it when, you know, Crow and Tom Sawyer are on the screen talking. But yeah, arachnophobia. I think the only thing this will do is maybe give your child arachnophobia. I don't know. Up next, we got Corpse Bride. I have not seen this. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, there's a handful in here I have not seen at all. So, but the reason I'm doing this, that's the other kind of point of this. I don't want to just get him movies that I like. I really want him to decide for himself what kind of films he likes. You know, so I'm gonna get him stuff that, you know, has that mass appeal, and just kind of, you know, fits into this. I think this is one of those. You know, I was never that big on a Nightmare Before Christmas. Sorry, a Nightmare Before Christmas. Easy for me to say. And you can see it's later. I put the kid to bed now. I'm not gonna lie, Pops is a little tired, but I still gotta make this video. But I was never too big on A Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't really like that look, that style, that Coraline, James and the Giant Peach look. And this, you know, more or less is more of that. So I just never really got into it. But again, it kind of fit. You know, it's Tim Burton. It's gothic. It's lighthearted, but it deals with the dark side of things. You know, my God, he's marrying a corpse. At least I'm assuming that's what the picture is. I have, again, never seen it. But anyways, so there's that. Here's one. We got Cruella. We're taking the villain from the 101 Dalmatians and making her likable, I guess. Again, I feel like, you know, horror's all about villains. We all love the villains. We're all about, you know, Freddy, Jason, Michael. Those are probably a bit extreme for a kid his age, so, you know, we'll go light with it. We'll give him the lady who's trying to skin dogs alive. I don't know if she'll do it live or not, but she's doing make coats out of it. That's pretty messed up. Up next, The Dark Crystal. I'm a big fan of The Labyrinth. Love Labyrinth. That's just one of my favorite things. I love, you know, Jim Henson. But, you know, honestly, I never watched this. And from all accounts, I hear it's great. I've just never had a chance to sit down and watch it. I can't wait to sit down and watch it with him. But, it, you know, you know, it's definitely fantasy. But it's dark fantasy, you know. Kid-appropriate dark fantasy. And it kind of toes that line, you know. So, excuse me. I really think that would, you know, fit perfectly in this collection. Up next is something that every kid should see because it's brilliant. We're talking Ghostbusters. Come on. Come on. And you know what I love about this, too, is like, again, it's like, you know, people classify it as horror comedy or whatever. And I remember as a kid never even thinking this is a horror film at all. It's dark comedy. It's fun, you know. Get Slimer, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I mean, Bill Murray at his freaking best. So again, I feel like, you know, that's one of those that, like, you're kind of watching a horror film without really realizing you're watching a horror film. So I have a feeling he'll love it. Kid horror was making a big comeback these last, you know, 5 years or so. And, of course, I love the TV series, but I really like the movie, too. We're talking about Goosebumps. And, yeah, actually, this was his Aunt Lisa. Co-worker of mine, not biological aunt, but, you know, my God, by all accounts, Aunt Lisa got this for him, actually. So, thank you, Lisa, for that. But, yeah, this is definitely one of those that I definitely think, you know, it's a gateway. You know, I did think when I was a kid, I think like a lot of kids, you know, you claim you like horror films, but when I was a kid, I only watched very few at the time. Nothing really too frightening. It was, you know, slashers that weren't really that scary, but you watched Goosebumps and you felt like you were a little bit more, and Are You Afraid of the Dark? You know, I watched both of them like non-stop when I was a kid. You know, I was like probably, I was 10 when those came out, you know, 10 or 11, so I was, you know, 5th grade. And yeah, like I said, just loved them. So again, this is Goosebumps for this generation, you know, so we're going a little old school with this one. Going back, I believe this is early 90s, 1990 maybe. Little Shop of Horrors. Rick Moranis. Good stuff right there. Again, just kind of testing the waters on different incarnations of horror and family and whatnot. Musical, you know, in this case. And yeah, just see, you know, what he digs, what he doesn't. So I'm really curious to see what he would think about that. This one, of course, you know, we're going back to Disney. We got Muppets Haunted Mansion. Yeah, I have not seen this at all. There's a handful of Muppet movies I really like. I dug the recent ones with Jason Segel, and what was the one after that? It didn't have Jason Segel. It was like Muppets Most Wanted. Had Ricky Gervais in it though. Loved that. But as a kid, I remember, you know, being a big fan of like the Muppets Christmas Carol, Muppets Take Manhattan, you know, stuff like that. Muppets is great. So you get a horror spin on that, like a Haunted Mansion. Gotta be a good time. It's a party to die for, it says. All right, so here's another one I didn't watch. So I believe it had to be last year or the first year I started doing this. You know, I got him. The Adventures. I'm gonna get the name mixed up because it's got two character names in the title. It was like The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, or The Adventures of Mr. Toad and Ichabod. Either way, it was like one of them was like the Headless Horseman or whatever. It was a Disney cartoon from like the 40s, maybe early 50s. I don't remember exactly which one. But, I heard a lot of people talk about how, it was kind of frightening for children. And that's kind of what I'm looking at here. And so this was, hope I'm pronouncing it right, The Secret of NIMH. And as I'm doing like my, research and, cultivating all this stuff, I heard a lot of people talk about like when they were children. Now, granted, these were children of the time. So this came out, I don't know, 1970s? Oh, 1982. So that would have been a generation above me, I guess. I missed out on it. But they all say, there's just certain like dark scenes in this movie that, as a kid, felt a little heavier than it should have been. A lot like, I guess like The Wizard of Oz. I included that the first year I started, getting his movies together for him. Because again, it's like that's a kids movie. That's a fun, family, whimsical film, and yet a lot of kids had nightmares because of the Wicked Witch. So again, I know nothing about this at all. So I heard people talk about how like, when they were kids, there's some dark elements to that. We're going with it. And that kind of goes with this one too. This is the Spiderwick Chronicles. Not horror at all, fantasy. But, again, I want him to kind of see different creatures, different, monsters, for lack of a better term. And you do it in a fun, safe environment like this. Hopefully, good to go. So this one, his Uncle Josh, again, former coworker, really good friend of mine. But, again, Uncle Josh, got him this one. He went with Spirited Away. And yes, again, now personally, I am not a fan of this. I'm not big on anime. It's not this video about me. I don't say there's a couple I do like, but that's not it. I'm not big on anime, but I feel like kids should definitely watch this one. Again, it's such a magical world, and it's this has got a dub, but there's also the subtitles, and I really want him to, at some point, be good with reading subtitles in a movie. I don't want him to be like, I don't want to read it, it's not a book. He'll miss out on a lot of movies. So again, this is a different culture, a different type of animated movie, but still it's dark enough where it has monsters and other worlds or whatever. And I feel like, it fits perfectly into, what I'm trying to build for him here. And finally, we got him The Witches, but this is the remake. I went ahead and went with the new one. Which I didn't mind. A lot of people were kind of crapping on this one, and I actually thought it was all right. I really like Anne Hathaway, so that may have been what did it for me. But again, witches, it's another set of villains, monsters or whatever, a classic staple in horror, but in a family-friendly environment. So guys, that's just the movies I picked up for him. Constantly trying to get him to get it. He loves animated monsters. He's not big on, this year, especially this year, we're learning that even like fake stuff, it's over there. We got Halloween decorations put up, and some decorations he's not that big on. We had this little witch, speaking of witches, that is motion activated. You get in front of it and it cackles or whatever, and he was like freaked out until he got used to it. And then he was like, it became fun for him then because he'd run to it and, he'd giggle when it cackles and he'd run back. Like, he was like testing himself. He was getting brave, But recently we went to, actually Walmart initially. They had this big inflatable, like pumpkin. It's not pumpkin head, but it's a thing with a pumpkin for a head. Inflatable thing. Cutesy kind of thing. And like, he was not having any of that. We went to Spirit Halloween today, actually, just today. And he was not big on that at all. And they had all these giant like demons and clowns and murderers. And these were like more clearly scary looking. To his credit, did not cry once, but he definitely clenched and he was like hanging on. You can just feel him, and I'm like, buddy, relax. These are all just decorations, He's not big on that. But we put stuff on TV, and he's usually okay with that. Like, I've yet to see him freak out on anything. The only thing he kind of got weird about, so he's still going through his phase. He loves dinosaurs. And so we threw, like, Land Before Time on for him. And, Jurassic Park anime show, like Crustacean something or other is on Netflix. And he was okay with that. So he likes dinosaurs. And I even watched the old movie, The Alligator, with Robert Forster. And he was cool with that. And then I threw on Jurassic Park, 1993, right? Thinking like, all right, maybe he'll like this. And not like he ignored it, like when it was when it was fun and fancy, like when the brontosauruses are walking around, or brachiosaurus, whatever the fuck you're calling, but like, you know, when all the fun dinosaurs are walking around, he's ignoring it. And then when the T-Rex makes his first appearance, yeah, he freaked out. Did not like it at all. So this is why you gotta dip their toes in the horror. This is why you gotta do this, because I don't want to, you know, I don't want him to be one of these. I'll look around and say, I know this is for families, but fuck it. I don't want him to be a pussy when it comes to movies. I want him to like horror. So I don't want to make a mistake like I did with my other cousin, who to this day he's not a horror fan at all, and that's because I scarred him for life. So I'm learning from my mistakes, and I'm trying to make this kid, you know, join the horror community. So guys, that's all I got. If you have any comments, you know, let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, we'll just, I guess I'll see you guys next year with a new stack of movies, and as we journey into horror.